When writing your story, the first thing you want to do is identify your message. Before you put words down, what is the story about? And what is the outcome you want to display through your message? You want to guide the reader in the story so he or she will respond. So are you asking them to buy now or sign up for a newsletter? What is it you're trying to do? And then you want to plan your entry into the story where it's dramatic. Ideally, it will be the middle of the action. You don't want to go back to the very beginning. I first was born in 19 whatever. You want to start in the middle of something dramatic or in the action. And then finally, you want to lay out the story development so you'll see in advance where it's going to end and how the hero of the story will overcome an obstacle they're facing. Now, John Ford, pictured here, is another incredible copywriter. He's someone who has been part of our educational program for many, many years. And he's especially gifted at writing stories in copy that work beautifully. So John has a story process. And the first step is really, like I said, knowing and preparing what the story is going to say and how it's going to end and solve a problem. You want to think about who the hero is and how will that person be like the prospect. What is the problem that that hero is facing? What is the solution, which of course is your product, but how is it going to play out? How did the hero get to that solution? The second part of the story is identifying the arc, the ARC, and that's really starting with how the story ends. It sounds a little wacky, but you want to start in your mind how the story is going to end so you can write a great headline like this, because you'll know, for example, in this ad, the end was he was going to play beautifully and amaze his friends. So that's how this headline came about. You have to know that ending before you can write. You want to list the inspiring details that will go into the story and make it very believable and they can create a picture of what this transition is going through. And then you, again, start in the middle. He sat down to play the piano. It didn't start with, we all arrived at a party at 7 o'clock and had cocktails. It starts right at the moment where they started laughing because he said he was going to go sit down and play piano. Finally, construct the story. So you want to make it very tight. You want to hint at the big benefit to come, like that play piano one did. And then you want to tell the story quickly. Use as few words as possible to convey the picture of that story. Stick to the truth. That makes it easy. You don't have to come up with something if you just follow the truth. Use specific and juicy details that really make it believable and help them picture what's happening. And then tie it together with that promise and then transition to the solution. So this all happens, it could happen in 2 paragraphs. That's it. Now here's an online example that is a consumer product. And this is a whole story in this short amount of copy. Why she tried Proactiv. Her story is the following. Olivia Munn, the actress, by the way. I wake up one day and I have this crazy painful acne. Even though it wasn't covering my whole entire face, they were like spots everywhere. They were always popping up and they never went away. I tried Proactiv and it took my skin to a brand new level of amazing. Problem, solution, story, boom. Now here's a B2B example, and case studies are a fantastic way to tell stories for B2B prospects. This happens to be one. Problem, solution, it's fantastic. Michael's, the store chain for people who do crafting, they had a challenge that they were struggling with. They had rising fuel prices and limited capacity due to truck driver shortages, but they still needed their product, right, to be delivered in the stores. So we realized we needed to do something different, and our thought was, how do we get this onto the railroad? Solution, they hadn't considered rail, largely due to an assumption that the mode was outdated and slow and inconsistent, but they found out that intermodal railroad was actually the greatest solution they could have come up with. So there's a story. They tell you the whole thing in this case study. So in summary, when you're thinking about writing copy that's going to resonate, you want to remember that theory of resistance that buyers have. They don't want to be sold. And the minute there's a hint of being sold, they've gone. You want to make sure your copy is always relevant and uniquely beneficial. What are the unique benefits you can offer that your competitor can't? You want to use promises, stories, and more to get and hold attention at all times. And you want to write like you talk and how the prospect talks. That's the most important thing. And then write with passion. Don't rely on those exclamation points though. Make sure it just comes through everything you're saying about the product. So that's the end of Module 2, and we'll move right on. See you then.